Good evening, and welcome to another spooky episode of Codo Cinema, the podcast show where I talk about movies. I bid you welcome as your host, the man, the myth, the horror, the legend, Mark Codo, aka Codoman. Oh man, I am so excited for this one because I got a I got a good movie to talk about, but this time around, I'm not doing this alone. For the first time since episode 100, I'm going to do a collaboration. For those of you who have listened to Codo Cinema before, I brought people on board, but apparently, ever since episode 100 was my last episode to ever bring people on board. Ever since episode 100, and for over a year already, I am doing a collaboration, and I'm going to do it with a friend of mine from Eastern Illinois University. He's been on this podcast multiple times, and he also has his very own podcast as well. So let me introduce to DJ Apollo himself, Christian Taylor. Christian, welcome back to Codo Cinema.
I know, man, dude. I have missed this so much. I just want to say personally, thank you for the invite. You couldn't have picked a better time to do this because I was looking for something really exciting to do. So getting to enter the podcast world again is always a pleasure. So thank you for giving me this amazing opportunity. And I am very excited to talk about today's movie. Now, with it being October, my buddy Codoman here could not have picked a better movie to review. Like this movie, it's one of my faves. What's funny is I literally watched the movie right before we started recording. So
Mm-hmm.
I have actually I literally made notes. That's how much this this movie means to me. So what movie will we be covering today?
We'll be covering Army of Darkness, and this is from the dual collaboration of none other than Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell doing the third Evil Dead movie, Army of Darkness.
Yeah, so this is very exciting. And just to clear out what we were talking earlier, Mark and I went to Eastern University together in Charleston, and he invited me on his show. Dude, I actually not too long ago, like last year, I think it was, I went back and counted like how many episodes you and I did together. I'm pretty sure I did almost 30 recordings with you or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely
I
up
think
there.
so. It's been so long. It's been so long, and I remember the first recording that you and I did together, and that was also during Codo Cinema Horror Month, and that was actually the end. That was actually the end of the month with Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I remember that one.
That was a fun one that we did, and then we went on to do other episodes as well. Plus, Christian Taylor wasn't the only guest on board. We also had other people on board as well, like Leah Piesinski, Marshall Mathers, and Drew Coffey, among other people as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. We had so much fun that year. When Mark had me on his show, he was a senior and I was a junior,
Mm-hmm.
and he inspired me so much that the next year when I was a senior, I started up my own podcast, which is called Tales of Music and Film. You can find it on Spotify and on the WEIU website. During my senior year at Eastern, I recorded 62 episodes and I covered old school movies and records. Like I covered all kinds of stuff, but I noticed a good majority of what I covered was scary movies because horror is my favorite thing to talk about. It's my favorite genre of film.
And it's
And
awesome. It's awesome that you said that too, because I've listened to your podcast, and it's really good. In fact, I can't really say which episode's my favorite out of all the episodes. So I haven't gone through all the episodes, but I have went through a lot of episodes on your show, Christian. But what it's worth, it is so good. But if I were to pick out my let's just say top three.
three.
Um, let's say top three. It would be Alien 3, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and what else? Oh, Lost Boys.
Oh, that's awesome. Like, dude, I'm still blown away that my Kingdom of the Crystal Skull recording is still my highest viewed episode. 68 plays. And I don't understand why that one is the most famous. I don't know. I mean, I uploaded it on Spotify like during the hype for Indy 5 Dial of Destiny. So I don't know if that played a part. I don't know, but in second place, my second most viewed is Ant-Man 3 Quantumania, and
Mm,
that recording has like 60 something plays
wow. I
on it.
mean, I
Yeah, I
mean,
don't know why
I
that
mean,
one got so popular either, but I don't know.
ooh, that sounds scary. Oh, that sounds scary too. Because Marvel. I'll tell you this: it's been because Marvel is doing like their multiverse thing with their many of their projects now. And speaking of multiverse, I want to go back to Sam Raimi for a sec because we all know what Sam Raimi was doing back in 2022, right?
Yeah, he directed his. This was his biggest movie. Like he had a break. Like he didn't do anything like real big for a while, and then Marvel chose him to do Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Which, to tell you the truth, I thought it was a really good movie.
I thought so too. I thought the movie itself, now the movie itself did have its fair share of problems, especially behind the scenes. Hence the title of the film, Multiverse of Madness, because I mean, hey, look, could we all agree? Could we all agree the title alone says it all, especially for the production of the movie?
Mm-hmm. Before we go any further, but yeah, Sam Raimi is one of my favorite directors. Like the movies that introduced me to him was his Spider-Man trilogy, starring Tobey Maguire.
That was my introduction. That was my introduction too, because I didn't even know who Sam Raimi was. Because first three Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire were also my introduction to not only Sam Raimi but also Spider-Man as well. And then I know he directed. I know he also directed the Wizard of Oz prequel Oz, which he directed as well. But
Mm-hmm.
now where he's standing right now, like he has done a lot of projects. And looking back at his early projects, like for example, the Evil Dead movies, like he started with those films. Those were his early films that he started. Now, sure, yeah, there were probably a couple of other projects that he did before Evil Dead, but but the Evil Dead films were basically the films that kickstarted his entire film career, especially for other actors as well, including Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, like his first big movie was the first Evil Dead back in 1981, and then after that movie was a huge success. I think the first Evil Dead was made on a budget of like $300,000 or something. Like it was made with
That's
nothing,
low budget.
and it ended up being like one of the biggest horror movies ever made. It made millions at the box office. Like it was a huge success. And then he went on to do some stuff for a while, but then in the mid late 80s his career, I think, it started tanking a little bit. So to revive his career, I think him and Bruce ended up doing Evil Dead 2, which I think
Yeah.
did better than the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And then years later, and the Evil Dead 2 came out in 87, and then Evil Dead 3 Army of Darkness, which we're covering today, came out in 1992.
Yeah, 1992 was when Army of Darkness. Although I wanted to say Evil Dead 3 Army of Darkness, but the thing is they went with Army of Darkness. That sounds like an awesome title. But I
Yeah, it
just didn't
is.
think I didn't think it was the third I didn't think it was the third Evil Dead movie. Like how like why did they take out the Evil Dead title and just like put in Army of Darkness? Why is that?
I honestly don't know. But they didn't plan on making sequels. Like Evil Dead, I think, was supposed to be a one-time thing, but I'm glad they made the sequels. Like the Evil Dead trilogy, I think's amazing. Like they're some of the best like
Yeah.
horror movie adventure films I've ever seen. Like they're the best
And
B
comedy
movie.
too.
Yeah, in the section or the topic of B movies, these movies are top quality for B movie material.
Oh yes, because like you watch these movies now, like I'll tell you this, and this is mostly from just like the whole film in general. It is basically your typical B movie. Like the first three Evil Dead movies, they're not to be meant to be taken serious. Sure, yeah, they do have scary elements, but they also have a sense of charm to it, especially from
Yeah.
Sam Raimi and of course the man himself, Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, Bruce is one of my favorite actors. I love that guy. Like, I have my fingers crossed that I get to meet him someday. He's an awesome guy. Like, he treats all of his fans like family. Like he loves playing Ash. I think this is like his number one role. It's like Harrison Ford with
Mhm.
Indiana Jones. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
this is like that one role that will define him for the rest of his career. I think there's a lot of actors out there or actresses who have like that one role they're always known for, like it's their most like famous or something.
Hmm.
I think that's Ash Williams with Bruce Campbell. Um,
And then how about Sigourney Weaver for Ripley, Ellen Ripley
Yeah,
in
with the Alien movies. Yeah,
movies.
yeah, exactly. Or Linda Hamilton with the Terminator movies.
Terminator, yeah.
Like,
But
yeah, I
but for
think
Bruce Campbell, yeah, I totally agree because like I think of Bruce, I see Bruce Campbell, like I see Bruce Campbell has played other he has played other roles. He's done other roles too, like
yes. Oh yeah.
he played the gym teacher in Sky High named
In
Coach
Sky High.
Boomer. That name that aged like fine wine. Believe
Yeah, it did.
that name alone aged like fine wine. And then of course he also played Piece of Papa in Multiverse of Madness for Doctor Strange.
Yeah, that's a running joke. Like literally every Sam Raimi movie. Here's the thing, though. I like the running joke in Sam's movies. Bruce always has Bruce appears in almost every Sam Raimi movie, and then that
Yes.
the yellow Delta car. So little backstory for you all. Ash Williams's signature car is a Delta. It's all yellow with a white roof, and that's Sam Raimi's car. That's the model car that he drove when him and Bruce were in high school. And
I was
that's the
just
car they used for the movies. And from this point forward, anytime Sam Raimi does a movie, the Delta makes an appearance. Like Uncle Ben Uncle Ben drives that same car in the Spider-Man
oh my goodness,
movies.
I never caught on to that. I never caught on to
Yeah,
that because
yeah,
like here's the thing. I got a confession to make. I like the Army of Darkness was actually my only Evil Dead movie that I've ever saw. I mean, I haven't seen the first two, but with the third one I've seen. But with the car that you have mentioned, I didn't think that would be the same car that Sam Raimi would use in his films. And the Evil
yeah,
Dead movies have that car too. And speaking of going back to Evil Dead, they used the car in Army of Darkness like as a special weapon. Say hello to the
yeah.
21st century.
21st century. Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, that car is featured in all three movies. Like Ash and his friends drive to the Evil Dead cabin in that car. And the car had a cameo in Multiverse of Madness. It was floating.
It was floating.
Um, with the,
It was floating. That was when Doctor Strange met his evil counterpart.
yeah, yeah.
I wish it was Supreme Strange, but hey, whatever.
Oh,
But
yeah.
still. Anyway, so should we dive into Army of Darkness to
Yeah,
report it?
absolutely. But before we do that right quick, I had a few notes I wanted to share. I have a couple of things here I wanted to show right quick.
Sure.
So, as I mentioned before, I'm a huge fan of this franchise. I've watched the whole trilogy, and fun fact, there is a Evil Dead TV show that continues the story. It's called Ash versus Evil Dead.
Hmm.
Bruce Campbell reprises the role of Ash. It takes place 30 years later after the events of the main trilogy. The show was supposed to run for 5 seasons, but it got canceled after 3, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But the 3 seasons I think are really good. Like
Hmm.
Sam Raimi directed the pilot episode, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, you can't have an Evil Dead movie or TV show without Sam Raimi's involvement because
Oh
he
yeah,
kickstarted it. He
yeah.
kickstarted it all. Yeah, he kickstarted this whole thing, and they came out with another one. They came out with Evil Dead Rise.
Which I was getting ready to say. Yeah, I saw Evil Dead Rise in theaters, and dude, it was good. Bruce and Sam were executive producers on the movie, and
That's
I
still
thought
good.
that, yeah, it's great. It kind of goes back to the roots of the first Evil Dead with the straight horror, because here's the thing. The way I view the Evil Dead trilogy is like the first movie is straight horror. Evil Dead
Mm-hmm.
2 is horror and comedy. And then Evil Dead 3 Army of Darkness is like action adventure kind of thing. So
Yes.
that's the genres with the three movies. And I think Rise did a good job of harkening back to the roots of the first movie with it being just horror. It's kind of like I view Evil Dead Rise as like a spin-off. Like it's in the same universe, but with an entirely brand new cast. That's how I
Yeah.
view it.
Yeah.
Um,
I totally agree. Now just to give in my 2 cents on this, like Army of Darkness was the only Evil Dead movie that I saw because because obviously it's one of the probably one of the more talked about. I find this movie as one of the more talked about movies because it had some of the most memorable moments and lines from that movie. Now, I mean, I have now in terms of like horror movies, like I mean, I'm not like the biggest horror movie fan. Although I say the closest to seeing horror movies would be The Shining with from Stanley Kubrick and Jack Nicholson. Of course, obviously the book. I mean, never read the book, but knowing Stephen King did The Shining, and then of course, and then Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, most notably the famous shower scene,
yep.
and then and then if it also helps, most of the Tim Burton movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I to give you a funny little backstory, Evil Dead 3 was the first one that I saw. This movie was my introduction as well. I remember I was in high school. I was, I think, a junior in high school. My friends Logan and Emily were having this small Halloween party at their house. I remember walking over and they were watching Army of Darkness on the TV. And I sat down and watched some of it with them. And I'm like, I'm just sitting there looking at like, what the heck kind of movie is this? You know, it was so like there's a guy running around with a chainsaw hand. Like what is happening? Now,
Yeah,
granted, by the time I got there, we were at the halfway point. So I'm like, what is happening? There's skeletons fighting. Like what's going on? But
yeah.
once I went back and watched from the beginning, it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I
And
wanted to show. I actually have my own Evil Dead costume. I put it together 2 years ago. It's how Ash dresses in the TV show.
mm,
And anytime, so I like going to Comic Cons, and there's a horror convention in Rosemont near Chicago called Flashback Weekend. I just went
yeah,
there.
I'm actually from where I'm living about 40 minutes to an hour up north from where I live.
Mm-hmm.
That's like from where
Um,
I live, so it's not too far from where I live.
yeah, it's called Flashback Weekend, and I just went there this past August, and I went back in my costume again. And I wanted to see if I could show you. Here's me with actors from the Scream movie, the
Oh
first Scream.
yes, and that's you, and this is from Scream, right?
Yeah, this is me in my Ash costume with these three actors from the first Scream: Jamie Kennedy, Skeet Ulrich, and Rose McGowan.
That's awesome. That is awesome. It's like I mean I never been to a Comic Con. I never been to a Comic Con event nor what was it? What was it? These flash.
Flashback
What was it?
Weekend.
What?
Flashback Weekend is the name
Hmm.
of the convention.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean I never been to any of those conventions, but that would be a dream come true. If
oh
if
yeah, dude,
that would be a dream
Flashback
come true.
Weekend. Yeah, dude, if you ever get a chance, I'm telling you, you got to go to this convention. It is an absolute blast. I've been to it twice. It's one of the best experiences of my life. I love Flashback Weekend. It's such a good time. And here's the big item that I wanted to show you. So, one of the highlights from this past one that I went to, they had a music composer there. His name is Alan Howarth, and he did the soundtracks for a lot of John Carpenter films. Like he did the music for Halloween's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. He did
Yeah.
the soundtrack for Big Trouble in Little China, Escape
Hmm.
from New York, They Live, The Thing. Like he was such a joy to meet. One of the nicest guys that I've ever met. And when I went out to his, he actually signed my Halloween poster that I have over here, and he wrote a music note next to his name, which I thought was pretty funny. But I
That's
got a pic.
that's that's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, I like that
That's
dude.
pretty funny.
Yeah, dude, he's awesome. And
Yeah.
the thing, he saw my costume, so and he had a his table had piles of prints with his autograph on them. I got a picture with him, and then he gave me a free copy of the Army of Darkness poster signed by him.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now I really want to go check out a Comic Con or a convention. Now I really
Yeah,
want to go check that out.
because what I didn't know about Alan is that he's also a sound designer. He worked on the sound effects for this movie,
Oh really?
which I
That's
thought
amazing.
was
That is
cool.
awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah,
Because like
and
oh man, there's like because the sound effects, like I can't really think of many of the sounds, but if there was any sound I could think of, it's literally the skeleton. It's literally all the skeletons, all the skeleton effects
yeah,
that was going on in that movie, um I really want to get into I really want to get into more of that too. But I was wondering if we can start from the beginning of this movie, like
oh yeah,
from
sure.
where it all
So
started.
yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because like one of the first things I wanted to bring up with the Evil Dead trilogy, it has this running joke of continuity problems, and I'll explain why here in a minute. So Evil Dead. So before we talk about Army of Darkness, we need to talk about the events that happened in the first two films. So
Mm-hmm.
the premise of the first Evil Dead is that a group of friends, there's five of them, are going on a weekend vacation to this cabin that they found out in the middle of the woods, and they go there. And then during the first night, there's like they know there's something wrong about this cabin. Then they venture into the basement, and then Ash, played by Bruce, him and another friend find the Evil Dead book, and it's and the tape recorder in the basement, and they also find this very strange dagger as well, and they
Mm-hmm.
bring it back upstairs, and then they turn on the recorder. The previous person who stayed in that cabin was a archaeologist who found the book, and he was translating the writings in the book on audio. And when they
Was it the
turned it,
book of was it
the
was
Book of the Dead,
yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
or the Necropicon, or something like that. It's called the Book of the Dead, and all the pages are written in human blood, all the text and everything. And the book's outer cover is made from human flesh. So
Wow.
they turn on the tape recorder, and it reawakens the spirits, and then they start going after the friends, possessing them one by one, making them kill each other. And then Ash ends up being the sole survivor. And then Evil Dead, and that's the end of the first movie. Then the second movie opens up with so with Evil Dead's 2 and 3, they had to do this thing where they had to reshoot the intros. Like
Mhm.
Evil Dead 2 opens up, like this really confused people. So Evil Dead 2 opens up with him and his girlfriend Lynn. So one of the friends in the friend group was his girlfriend Linda.
Yeah,
And Evil
and
Dead
was
2, Go
Was
ahead. What?
Linda? I forget that Linda was this was Linda the girlfriend in the third movie? I completely forgot. I mean, I've seen Army of
Yeah,
Darkness, but I completely forgot if Linda was still the one of the. I'm trying to remember. Was she in that third movie? I saw the third
yeah,
film, but oh, really?
yeah. She's in it at the beginning because 2 and 3 do recap videos, like showing what happened beforehand. So in Evil Dead 2, it opens up with Bruce and Linda. It's just them this time in the Delta driving to the cabin. And then a lot of the fans thought that Ash went back to the cabin again with a different person this time. But what happened was they lost the rights to the first Evil Dead movie. Like, I don't know what led to that happening, but they had to do recap videos because part of the reasons I think they did this is because there's a 6 year gap in between Evil
Mm-hmm.
Dead's 1 and 2. Like, Bruce has aged a little bit since the first movie. So they refilmed the intro and they have a different girl playing Linda. Like, there is a different actress for Linda in all three movies. Is
Yes,
one of the
because the actress in the third Evil Dead movie is Bridget Fonda. I believe that's her name in the
yeah, with
third film.
yeah, and that's like one of the running jokes is that a different actress plays Linda in each movie. That's one of the continuity jokes. And then after the recap is over, 2 opens up with Ash being thrown in the air, and then it's daytime again. And then the
Mm-hmm.
first half of 2 is him fighting off the spirits, and then the archaeologist that I mentioned earlier, his daughter and her boyfriend show up with the rest of the pages from the book. And then the movie ends with both of them being killed, and she reads a passage that opens up this portal to send the spirits back where they came from, but then Ash gets sucked into it,
Yeah,
and then it sends them back to medieval times. And
and actually, I'm glad that you actually brought this up because I actually watched the ending clip of Evil Dead 2 because I was watching a Watch Mojo top 10 list where it featured where Evil Dead 2 was on the list, and one of the last few clips of that episode had Ash Williams in medieval times screaming no to the entire army of knights
yeah.
because actually if you want to describe it, go ahead.
Oh yeah. So Evil Dead 2 ends with Ash being like he's the sole survivor again. Like the daughter and her boyfriend and the other people that came with her, they were all slaughtered by the evil. So Ash was the last one again. Right before the daughter was killed, she read from the pages that she brought with her to send the spirits back where they came from. It opened up just this giant portal, and Ash and Ash in his car gets sucked into the portal, and it closes, and it sends Ash back to medieval times to when the book was first found. And
Oh man,
and then 2 ends. Oh, go ahead.
if this was ever a running joke in every Sam Raimi movie, if this ever happened, uh, there's always a portal that opens up and the car would get sucked in. If that was ever a running joke.
Yeah, exactly. And then 2 ends with Ash realizing that he's in medieval times now and he's stuck, so he's just like screaming no as all the knights are cheering him. And
Because
then
he
3,
defeated the because there was this I thought it was a dragon at one point, but no, it was actually one of those evil one of those was I want to say witch. Like
well, it was a
was it really a witch?
well, it was these gargoyle-looking creatures with wings, and then Ash shoots it out of the sky with his shotgun, and then the knights start cheering him on. That's when he starts screaming no, and then the movie just ends.
Yeah.
And then
And I
oh,
will
go ahead.
admit, like when I saw that clip, I will admit, like the effects on that creature at the time, I will say this, at the time, They were good at the time, but looking back at it now, I can see, I can. It is very cheesy, don't you think?
Yeah, that's the thing though with all three movies. That the effects are really cheesy, but they oddly work for some reason.
They
You know?
really do. And same with this
Yeah.
third movie too. And I will say this: when we see when this third movie even also opens up, going back to what you said with this all this continuity error, like
Yeah.
we see like the recap of the second film where Ash gets his chops his own hand off with the chainsaw because it
Yeah.
was repossessed
Yeah.
by the creature, and then he gets sucked into a portal into medieval times.
Hmm.
But the only difference with that is we get a pretty good theme song to introduce the third film, and it
Yeah.
was actually, and a little fun fact, the theme song was written by Danny Elfman, and that was actually the theme for the Skeleton March.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really cool though. And going off of what you mentioned earlier about the continuity errors, like Ash's appearance changes again. Because they, like you said, three opens up with them doing another recap, and
Mm-hmm.
the Linda actress changes again. And
Yeah.
in this movie, Bruce again aged another 5 years. And one of the things that I find very funny about this, Bruce Campbell would have been 33 years old at the time when they filmed this, and Ash is supposed to
Yeah.
be a senior high school student.
Really? He's supposed.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Really? This is.
Ash is supposed to be a senior high schooler.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dang, Ash, you're looking
Actually,
pretty
pretty
old
funny.
there for a high school student.
Yeah, but hey, I mean, hey, he looks. I mean, he's still. I mean, even in this movie, you look at him in this movie, like he's aged pretty well. He
Oh
aged
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
well. But
And
actually, I want to go off topic for a sec because there's another film franchise that actually reminded me of all the endings from the Evil Dead films. Back to the Future, because
yeah,
between the first two movies, you know how the film ended with Marty McFly and Jennifer. They're seeing each other again, and then they're about to go off for this. They're about to go for a joyride in the new
yep,
car, but then Doc Brown shows up to tell Marty we got to go back to the future.
yep.
Well, I also listened to that episode as well of your episode Back to the Future where the Jennifer actress had to be recasted.
Yeah. So what the and plus there was a 5 year gap in between when they filmed the first movie and the second. So
Mm-hmm.
Michael J. Fox was he had aged a little bit. So and the original Jennifer actress, her mom was very sick at the time. So she turned it down to stay home and take care of her mom. So
Yeah.
they had to pick someone else to play her. So they reshot the ending
Mm-hmm.
to to fix the continuity.
Right, and I say for the most part you can't really tell.
The difference, like,
There's not that much of a difference, but the only difference you can get from that is Jennifer. Like it seems as though like if Jennifer at age too, but no, it's a different actress.
yeah, yeah, that was a prime example I was thinking of when I was explaining this. And another continuity error that I noticed when watching Evil Dead 3 is that, well, first off, Ash's hair is longer. Like, Bruce's hair was longer for this compared to the first two. And I
Yeah,
also noticed that Ash is using a completely different double barrel shotgun than what he used. Like,
don't you mean his
Ash's main
boomstick?
weapon, yeah, the boomstick. Dude, I'm not kidding you. The shotgun changes in all three movies. Like in the first Evil Dead, it was a single shot rifle. And then Evil Dead 2, it transforms into a double barrel out of
Mm-hmm.
nowhere. And then
It's
towards
still the
the end
double
of
barrel
Evil
in the third one, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But in Evil Dead 3, no, no, towards the end of Evil Dead 2, Ash uses the chainsaw to slice off the barrel to make it a sawed-off double barrel. But then,
Oh wow.
but in Evil Dead 3, when Ash's shotgun, the barrel is way longer than what it was in the last movie. So again, the gun changes in in all three movies, which I thought was pretty funny too.
Yeah, and let's go, and then with the ending of Evil Dead 2, they still use that one shot where Ash and the car, I'm gonna call it Sam Raimi's car. Ash and Sam Raimi's car fell into medieval times. They still use that shot. It was still the same, but the only difference was, here's the only difference with that. The only difference was it was the knights are different. It's not the knights are different. This is King Arthur's King Arthur's knights, not the knights not the knights from the other Evil Dead film. Even though, hey, it sets up the third film pretty well, but like you said, this is all in the continuity, and this is all in continuity because
Yeah,
Sam Raimi and this entire continuity era, it's recognizable, but at the same time, adds to the overall
well,
joke of it all.
yeah, exactly. Like, two ends with the knights literally cheering him on. Like, this guy is their hero. Then three opens up with him falling into medieval times, and the knights, instead of cheering him on, like they take him prisoner instantly, and they lock him up in iron chains. They're sending him to their castle to be killed. You know, like
Executed,
I thought these guys liked them. Like, what happened? You know?
Like I guess you could say maybe a running joke, like maybe it was a different army. Let's just say maybe it was a different army because in the third movie it introduces another knight army, which was actually one of King Arthur's descendants, I believe. Like
Yeah, I'm not
Henry I
sure.
believe his name is Henry. I believe his name is Henry. It was Henry's army, and I think
You're
that's his
right.
name.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
Like
you're correct.
like he was chained up to he was chained up too. Like he was
Yeah,
chained up too, and they were all going to King Arthur's castle. And was also crazy about that scene too. About this, what was also crazy about this is that once they got to the castle, everybody was throwing a lot of stuff at the prisoners. Even this one lady named Shelia, I believe that's her name. Like
yeah.
Shelia, who's being played by Ambeth Davids. She throws stuff at Bruce Campbell, and I'm like, what
Yeah,
did Bruce Campbell do to you?
she chugs a rock at his head, and then he falls into the pit, and then he fights those two zombies, and
Yeah, actually just for a sec? One of my favorite. There was actually a line in that movie that actually caught me off guard. Was when he was talking to
with Arthur
talking to Henry, like
or Henry,
like
yeah,
to Henry. He was like, "Well, hello, Mister Fancy Pants.
fancy
Well, I
pants.
got news for you, Jack. I got news for you. I got news for you. There's a lot of Jack and crap. I mean, Jack is already taken off. Why is
Yeah.
that?
He's
Why is
like,
that, Bruce Campbell? Was Jack full of crap?
no, yeah, because he's like, well, it goes like, it's like, hello, Mister Fancy Pants. I got news for you. I got news for you, pal. You ain't running with two things right now, Jack and crap. And Jack left town. Like, so good. Like, dude, the one-liners that are in this is just pristine. I love the following scene when Ash climbs out of the pit, and he's like, he goes over to the one knight, and he's just like, you know, your shoelaces are untied. He looks down, and he just Bruce socks
He
him in the
just
face.
socks him in the face, and actually, and
And
that's
then
pretty funny because now he looks at all the other people in the village. Is like, anybody want some? Huh? How about you? How about
yeah,
you there?
who
How
wants
about you?
some?
Who wants some? You want some? That's what I thought.
Yeah. And then, like, right
Actually,
after
what's
that,
also funny too, actually even before he falls into the pits, like uh, like like Arthur looks at Bruce Campbell and he's like, look, something was up. I forgot what was that moment was, but there was another moment where Bruce Campbell like talks to Arthur and was like, "Are you kidding me? I don't even know this guy. I don't even know this guy."
I've never seen him before. Arthur, tell them you don't know me. He's just like, I don't think they'll believe me. Sorry.
And then he
Yeah.
gets thrown into the pit. He gets thrown into the
Yeah.
pit. To which, what's also weird about that moment too is like the first guy fell into the pit, and then and then a geyser of blood just literally pops out of the pit. But no, this second time, but with Bruce Campbell, it's just a basic all-out battle, like a battle to the death between
Yeah, and
this between the creature, between I believe it was one of those creatures, like the creature that says
Deadites.
"I'll swallow your soul."
Yeah, yeah. Then one of my favorite moments is after he climbs out of the pit and then he orders the people to let the prisoners go. And after they ride off on the horses, the knight that he punched earlier, he yells sword fight, pulls out a sword. He's just like, for your arrogance, I shall see you dead. Then Bruce just pulls out his shotgun and blasts the sword in half. He just goes, all right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. You see this? This is my boomstick. Just
Yes. I think that was actually one of the best. Actually, that was actually one of the probably the most memorable line from that movie, Boomstick. Because the thing is, and it makes sense in that setting too, because like they don't know what a gun is, so
yeah,
he had to explain to everybody that this is a boomstick. This is a gun, but in the different term, boomstick. Because once you cock that gun, boom, boom. You hear a
yeah,
blast, but think about you hear that boom.
yeah. And dude, I love following that quote. He just starts going off. He starts doing just okay. Little backstory for you guys. So Ash works at a store called Shop S Smart. Shop Smart, Shop S Smart. You know, it's basically an off-brand Walmart. Anyway, he starts.
Or a Kmart, because there was
Yeah,
an actual Kmart too.
yeah. But I like how he starts going off of like after he says this is my boomstick, he starts doing this like shop description. It retails for about $109.95. You can find this in the sporting goods department. This baby was made in Grapevine, Michigan. It was built with it's got a bolt trigger. You know, he's doing like he's speaking to them like they're customers, like they want to buy the gun. Like
Yeah, but they probably had to wait. They had to wait. They had to wait centuries later in order to do that.
yeah, he just goes shop smart, shop S smart. You got that?
You
Just
got
like
that?
yes. Now I
That is
swear,
so good.
the next one of you primates even touches me. So good, dude.
And then the
So
next scene, and
good.
then the next scene, he's just basically the chosen one.
Yeah, like it literally just cuts to him sitting in the chair sideways, and then all the women are just giving him food. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's living the dream. He's living his best life. Oh,
Oh, I mean,
so good.
that is
Oh,
so good. Actually,
yeah.
what I really like, actually, we still see the chainsaw in this movie. The chainsaw is still in that movie because one of the elders, the elder in the beginning of the movie, who's being played by Ian Abercrombie, he's like this. He plays this like I would say like he's an elder. He's one of the elders, but like a wizard. But I believe he's a wizard who like sees like, oh, the man who fell from the sky, he's the chosen, he's like, no, he's the
Yeah.
chosen one.
Yeah,
And he
he was
gave
the
he
one
gave
who
him the chainsaw back during that pit fight.
yeah, he's like strange one and throws the saw to him. And he's also the one like Ash is like, okay, send me back to my time. And then the guy's like, well, the only way to do that, you're gonna have to head out and get the book back. You're the chosen one. Go get the book, bring it back. We'll send you home. But before that happens, we get one of my favorite scenes in the movie is that one of the girls that's feeding him food gets possessed. And then she tries to dump hot water on one of the guards, and then Bruce shoots the canister out of her hand with a double barrel. He just goes, he just goes, uh, uh, jerk, let's go. You know, they just start fighting. And what I love about that scene, okay, so Ash has a double barrel that has
Mhm.
two shots. he shoots 4 without reloading it. Just
Actually,
boom,
that's so
boom,
funny too,
boom.
because like that's so funny because like where's the ammo? Where's his ammo for that?
Yeah,
But I like how that comes back. I love how like I like how the ammo comes back because we do see his ammo come back later in the film.
yeah, but that scene was so funny to me. Then, of course, right after that, the guy you were just talking about earlier, the wizard guy, he's bald with the longer gray beard.
Mm-hmm.
He sends Ash on the journey to go to this graveyard to get the book back. So
Oh,
then,
oh, and actually, before he does that, he gets a mechanical. He gets a gauntlet. He gets the
yeah.
gauntlet.
And also, I just want to make sure. I don't know if people have seen the trilogy or not, but in Evil Dead 2, Ash's right hand gets possessed. Like, there's literally a scene where his hands, like, like scratching him, attacking him, and then he has to grab a chainsaw, and he literally takes the hand off. And then towards the
Who's
end of the
laughing
movie,
now?
yeah,
Yeah,
who's
that was a
laughing
quote.
now? And then towards the end of the movie, this man does one of the coolest things I've ever seen. He rebuilds the chainsaw where he can attach it to his limp. So now he's just walking around with a chainsaw hand. It's the coolest thing ever. And then in Evil
Oh
Dead
my
3,
goodness,
before he goes
yes.
on his adventure, him and the castle's blacksmith, he builds himself a new mechanical hand.
Yeah, a new mechanical hand. And he also says this classic line, groovy.
Yeah, which is funny because he does that in Evil Dead 2 as well. He builds the chainsaw in the shed, turns it on, saws the barrel of the shotgun in half, and then puts it in his back holster, and the camera zooms up on his face. He just goes, groovy. So good. And also, Mark, before I forget, um, do you know there's actually 2 different endings?
Yes, I'm actually well aware of that too. In fact, I
So
watched
yeah,
another
yeah,
Watch Mojo video about that too. Like
yeah,
the ending, like the like I remember like there I remember seeing one of the endings and I kind of want to save this for a little bit towards the end towards the end because I feel like that's kind of going a little bit overboard. I feel like
yeah, yeah, but
that's going a little bit of ahead. But
yeah,
yes,
yeah. So
there
keep
were
that in mind. I wanted to mention that. So we'll save that towards the end. So Ash goes on his adventure. So going back to the story,
yeah,
he goes on the adventure to get the book, and then
like
we get this small portion where he gets trapped in this windmill
And actually,
for
before he gets
overnight.
trapped in the windmill, he talked with the wizard, the elder. I want to say high elder,
Mm-hmm.
but he's basically the elder. But he tells Bruce Campbell or Ash. I mean, I keep calling Ash. I keep calling Ash Bruce
Yeah,
Campbell because he's Bruce Campbell. Come on, you
yeah,
can't go
yeah,
wrong with
yeah,
that. Like he tells him the 3 words for before he gets the book. You gotta say these 3 words. You gotta say these 3 words correctly.
yeah,
Otherwise, something bad will
yeah,
happen. And once
yeah,
he keeps repeating it to Bruce Campbell, and Bruce Campbell is just like so annoying. He gets annoyed out of his he is so he's irritated out of his mind when the elder asks him to say it again, and Bruce Campbell was like, I got it.
yeah.
I know your damn words. I get it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's Gratu Vrata Niktu.
Yes.
And he's like, repeat them. I got it. Now listen, when I come back with this book, you send me back. You know, but on a side note, what I thought was pretty funny is that in this movie, Ash just has this I'm just done with this crap attitude. Like throughout the entire movie, like the dude just he's done. Like after everything he went through in the first 2 movies, he's just like, send me back to my time. I am done with this crap. I'm having to fight the evil all the time. It's just I like how in this movie he just doesn't care anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't really
So
care, and
funny.
yeah, he doesn't really care. But the thing is, like when he's going on this adventure, like he runs into many different obstacles. Like once, like before he got to the windmill, he's being chased, but we don't know who. We don't know who. But it's like from a
Yeah,
perspective of the viewer, and I really like how they use the shaky cam. They use a shaky cam for that too, of like
yeah,
we're the creatures chasing Bruce Campbell.
yeah. That part's pretty funny too. And then it chases him into the windmill, and he locks the door, and the evil spirits go away. And then
And then
the scene that follows, like, Mark, how are you going to talk about what proceeds to happen? Like, look, there is a couple of scenes in this movie that are outright ridiculous, and this next scene is one of them. It's like how do we
oh
even
my yes,
like
yes,
like
I
okay,
know
like
what you're
people,
talking about.
like, it's so like it's just like it's funny, but it's just like extremely ridiculous. So like what happened? So a mirror inside the 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 windmill gets shattered, and then a bunch of teeny tiny little ashes walk out of the glass. So now there's just a bunch of little
Yes,
ashes running around, and they're like throwing stuff at Ash.
and the
And then
first time
Ash
around they
literally
did
throws
that.
a fork at one of them.
Yes, yes, they actually used a fork the first time, and all the little ashes were like rapid speed. They literally went
Yeah,
rapid
yeah,
speed and poked them from behind because there's some because why not? It's so funny. And it's something and mysterious too because Ash doesn't know that there are tiny little ashes right behind him. And I'm not talking about dust. I ain't talking about his variants, his teeny tiny variants.
yeah, and they're all like tiny little evil ashes, and then they eventually get him to fall down. Then he wakes up. They have him tied down, and then one of them jumps into his mouth. He
Mm-hmm.
swallows him, and
They
they're
all
like,
escape, and they all escape. And I'm gonna tell you this right now. Listen, listen. Like, say what you will. For those who have already seen this film, say what you will about the effects, but I feel like the effects in this sequence with all the little ashes and with the one ash going inside his mouth, sure, they look dated, but at the same time, I say it holds up so well. Like it almost looks so real because you gotta think about this. How were you able to get multiple Bruce Campbells in one scene? Because look how many of them are there. Look at the little ashes. How many stunt people or how many times they had to shoot this scene? Because you gotta think about it. Look how many like there's so many of them.
yeah,
And this
absolutely.
is actually one of
And
the funniest scenes in this movie because like they're all beating the crap out of the real Ash because like well because Ash is Ash. Like he gets hit in the head multiple times by this one pipe. There was a shot where Bruce Campbell smashes the pipe and a lot and ashes came out from the pipe and into his face as it was like blowing into his face because like I said, those evil little ashes are they just they just did him they did him so dirty and it's
yeah,
funny. It's so funny. That's what made the
yeah,
scene so funny and ridiculous. But at the same
yeah, it
time,
yeah,
it's just
it's one of those things, like it's so like out there, but it surprisingly works. I can't
mm-hmm.
explain like why it works, but and then after he swallows one of them, like another him grows and separates from him, and then now there's a full
Did he
grown
drink the hot
evil
chocolate?
Ash.
Did
Oh
he drink
yeah,
the hot
I
chocolate out of that?
when the little Ash is still, yeah, yeah, I forgot. I think I forgot about that. But when little Ash is inside of him, like Ash literally picks up a tea kettle full of hot water. Hey, want some hot chocolate? He just starts dumping hot water down his throat.
That is so
Oh
good.
man.
Like that the hot water was trying to kill the little Ash, but no, it grew inside him. And one of my next favorite parts of that one of my next favorite moments from that part is when like the shot it's like the next shot it's outside and Ash just opens the door and screams, "Oh, Jiminy Cricket is growing inside me! It's
Yeah,
getting
it's getting
bigger!"
Yeah, and then it grows out of him, then it separates from him. Now we got a full grown evil Ash. And the evil Ash starts he goes, "You're good, Ash.
I'm
I'm
bad,
bad."
Ash. You're good, Ash. You're goody little two shoes. Little goody two shoes. Little goody
Yeah,
two shoes. Little goody two shoes.
he just keeps kicking and punching, and the brute like Ash just pulls out the shotgun and literally aims it right at his face, shoots him in the face. He just goes, "Good, bad. I'm the guy with the gun."
And then the next scene comes in where he uses the chainsaw and literally cuts him
hacks
into little
up
pieces.
hacks him up in little pieces and buries him. And then evil Ash is still the head's still talking to him while he's burying him, and he just goes, "Hey, Ash just goes, hey, you got something in your face? What? No, he starts throwing dirt on him. Yeah,
I'll come back for ya.
yeah, exactly. And then after that, he
And I
buries
like how
him.
that comes back. Like the line that he said, "I'll come back for you."
He
I like
did.
how that. I like how it comes in full circle. It's so
Yeah,
cheesy, but it comes in full circle.
yeah, it works. And then the next scene is when Ash finally gets to the graveyard with the three books, and then that
Yeah,
was one
there's
of the
three
things.
books. Like all
And there,
like there, that was never mentioned. It was never mentioned there were three books. That's why Ash was like, "No one, whoa, whoa, whoa! Nobody told me there were three
wait a
books."
minute.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah,
What's
hold
actually
on.
funny?
No one said anything about three books. Like, am I just supposed to take all three of them, or do I guess? So I thought it was pretty funny. Like he goes through like the first one he opens is literally like a gateway to hell, and it like sucks him in.
Actually, the one thing that came to my mind, and this is actually more of an in joke on my part. He probably got sucked into the multiverse. Realized that Marvel's not going anywhere with some of their projects.
Oh no, absolutely not. Like heck with this. I'm going back. Never. No, 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 no. This is a crossover that's not happening. Um,
That's an in joke. That's an in joke on my mind.
but
But I mean, come on. If you really think about it, that was the second time he got sucked into a portal in this movie.
yeah,
That was the second time he got sucked into a portal, and
yeah, and then
he literally comes out. He comes out of that portal, and his face is all messed up.
he has to like shake his face over and over again to to fix it. And then he opens book number two, and then it turns into a flying book, and it starts attacking him and biting him.
It looks like the Book of Monsters from Harry Potter, if you really think about it.
Yeah, it's like you have to stroke the spine to
Yeah,
open
you
it.
have to stroke the spine, and then the book goes nom 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 nom. But no, this time around, I think it bites him in the hand. I think it bites him.
It does. He reaches in to grab it, and it bites his other hand. And then he finally gets the third. He gets to book number three, which is the right one. But then, of course, he forgot the words that he was supposed to
Yes.
say earlier. He just goes, gratu, grata.
Like it's a pitiful cough. Like
Yeah,
he forgets the third line, and I
yeah,
and like literally, like, even though he was tired of doing all this crap, but the thing is, you got to remember the lines. You have to remember the lines. I know
yeah,
he's tired of it, but he's got to remember it. Otherwise, that's just being Ash is just being lazy.
yeah. And then
But
he
what really
screwed
comes
up
back
the
to that
words.
is like, okay, that's it. All right, I'll just get the book. Like, he grabs the book, and then an earthquake happens. Like, all the tombs started to explode, and then everybody from King Arthur's castle sees the lightning. Even the elder realizes that something's wrong. He noticed, like,
Yeah,
it's happening. It's really happening. And then Ash just like runs through the graveyard, and then we get our next. I would say we get our next ridiculous scene that works so well. It's basically
yeah, yeah. It's just a bunch of skeleton hands popping out of the ground. They grab Ash. They have him pinned, and then hands start slapping him in the face, poking him in the eyes, grabbing his tongue, pulling his mouth open, sticking fingers
Yep.
up his nose. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's
Actually, what I
ridiculous.
actually find funny about that moment too is like the next one of the shots in there is like he looks at the camera, he screams at the camera as he was breaking the fourth wall, and then all the skeleton hands just came out of nowhere and punched him in the face, like as if he was screaming at the audience. Like
Yeah.
oh no, the audience is gonna punch at me. Ah!
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I
And
think as another in joke, I think he landed in the grave. I think he landed on the Three Stooges' grave.
oh, I don't remember, but it's funny you mentioned that because there's a lot of Three Stooges references in the Evil Dead movies. Like in the first Evil Dead, there was a nod to a Three Stooges episode. So there was a Three Stooges episode where they pretended to be plumbers and they accidentally connect pipe wiring to a water pipe. And then there's a scene where the head chef is cooking in the kitchen and the main
Mm-hmm.
light bulb starts filling up with water. And then it breaks.
Oh,
In the first Evil Dead movie, when towards the end, when Ash is in the basement, a light bulb breaks and blood starts falling out of it,
oh wow,
which I
that's
thought that
gross.
was a nice little nod. And then when the skeletons are attacking him in Evil Dead 3, one of them tries to poke him in the eyes and he does this.
Yeah, he does like this. He uses his hand like the side. I think it
Yeah,
was the side of it's like the side of his hand to block
yeah,
the to like just block the middle of his face. But it failed. The second time it failed because because they were coming out from because the hands were coming out from the other side.
yeah.
And
So
then
there's a
Ash
little,
was like, "I'll crush you. I'll mash your face. You bony." Oh, because
yeah,
like
it's
his
so good.
the skeleton hand went inside his mouth.
Yep. Oh, dude, I hated that part. Just,
I will say
you
this:
know,
those effects, those were some, those were real. Those were that was real. That you're looking at
yeah,
the real deal, and
that was good.
no amount of CGI would recreate that moment. No amount of CGI
Oh
would
no.
recreate that moment.
Oh, absolutely not. So he finally manages to grab the book and gets out of there and heads back to the
The castle,
castle.
King Arthur's
And
castle.
then by the King Arthur's castle, and then the wise one's like, okay, you got the book. Did you say the words? Well, I mostly I may have screwed up one word,
Okay,
but I
yeah, I
mean,
messed up. Yeah, sure thing. I might have messed up, but what's the big deal?
yeah, then it's like the book is now meaningless to us. You've doomed us all, you know. And then Ash just
Yep,
like realizing he
because
screwed up big time. Then the girl, the black haired girl that threw the rock at him earlier, who um so the backtrack for a second, they him and that girl made out before he left for the graveyard. It's just
yeah,
like, dude, this woman has known him for like a few hours. And,
yes,
and
yes,
then it's just like
exactly, exactly. Like,
he just
and what is this? What is this? What is this? Is this Rose? What is this? Rose from Titanic, where Rose only knew Jack Dawson for like what? How many days?
days. Yeah, and then
Four
he just
days?
grabs her, give me some sugar, baby. And they just start kissing. I don't think that's
Oh
how
my goodness.
relationships work, but okay.
All right, but like it's like everything. It's like yeah, Ash doomed everybody, and it really comes in full circle because
Yep,
one of the demons came to came and captured the girl, captured the woman, and it
yep,
took her back to the graveyard where she meets Ash's evil doppelganger,
yep,
um, and comes back to life. Hey, like he said, like
yep.
evil
I'm
Ash
coming
said,
back.
I'll come back for you. He comes
Yep.
back. He
And
comes
now he
back.
has a giant army of skeletons. And then they start heading towards the castle to attack it to get the Evil Dead book. And then
Yeah, and actually, I'm gonna backtrack for a sec because the skeleton. Because I'm going back because I want to go back to the skeleton march for a second. That was actually played at the beginning of the movie. That was also played during the final battle for the to introduce the final battle where
Yep.
all the entire skeleton army were marching in. Like one of them was playing a flute, was playing a piccolo or maybe a flute, and then the other one was got a percussion set, and then
Yeah.
the other one's got a bagpipe.
Yeah, I just thought that was so funny, and I like how, like, at the graveyard, the skeletons are digging up other skeletons. Like, they open up the casket, skeleton gets up and it starts coughing out dust, just like
Mm-hmm.
it just. But oh shoot, what was I gonna say? Um,
Welcome back to the land of the living.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was
Actually, fun
funny.
fact. Sam Raimi. I think one of his I think two of his relatives. Like one of them was writing the movie. Well, besides Sam
Mhm.
Raimi, like I think one of his relatives, Ivan. I believe his name is Ivan. Ivan Raimi, which is his brother, which is Sam Raimi's brother. He wrote the movie, but he's got another brother named Ted Raimi. Ted
Yeah,
Raimi provided the voice for all the skeletons.
yeah, and Ted Raimi actually shows up in a few scenes playing different townspeople.
Yeah, he
Um,
does. Like actually, that was actually towards the end of the movie where I actually see his face. Actually, I almost
yep,
didn't recognize him, but
yeah,
he's basically he's being a coward, like a cowardly warrior.
yeah. He and Ted Raimi has showed up in a lot of Raimi movies. Like he was in season 2 of Ash versus the Evil Dead. He played James. He played James's one of
Yeah,
one of the
in
Bugle's
Spider.
co-workers in the Spider-Man trilogy, which I thought was
Yeah, he
pretty cool.
does, and
But yeah,
that's
Ted's
pretty
a cool
funny too.
guy.
Yeah. But I like how Ted Raimi plays all the skeletons. Like he voices all the skeletons. And
Yeah,
by the way, there was I mean, besides the skeletons, like there were also other skeletons that look like actual humans. Like, did you really notice that? Did you really catch on to that?
yeah, I did. I think the reason why was because all the scenes where you see just the skeletons, that was all stop motion work.
Mm-hmm.
Like the scenes where you see other people that aren't skeletons, I guess those were people wearing costumes, I guess.
I think
Which kind
so.
of like ruins the continuity, but I'm just like whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Like
But it worked. But it
worked.
works well. And
Yeah.
actually, a little fun fact. Like I don't know if you've ever heard of Ray Harryhausen. Does the name Ray Harryhausen ring a bell?
Yeah, it does.
Because that's like the whole because the whole skeleton army calls back to Ray Harryhausen's um Jason and the Argonauts. Because if you look at this stop, because if you watch this whole battle, like this whole battle feels like you're watching Jason and the Argonauts, and that's like the rep. That's calling back to Ray Harryhausen, most notably with stop motion, because you see the stop motion, which is very good stop motion, adds to the overall idea and charm of a B movie. It works so well because it calls back to Jason and the Argonauts.
Yeah, that's a very good comparison.
Yeah.
And then before the skeletons get to the castle, I like the montage where Ash is training all the people on how to defend themselves, and he helps build like little bomb arrows
Mm-hmm.
because they tow the Delta back to the castle, and in the trunk he gets out all of his chemistry high school books, and they start building bombs,
He starts building bombs,
which
and
I thought was
also
pretty
the
funny.
live ammo. He's got ammo, like the bullets. He's
The
got bullets in his trunk
shells,
too. Like
yeah,
I'm glad that comes back. I'm glad he's got that because you're wondering where did he keep all of his bullets? Where are all the bullets?
yeah, and that's the other thing. Like his shotgun never runs out of ammo, but I mean, who cares? Just go with it. I mean, like it's like Rick and The Walking Dead. his Python revolver he's had throughout the entire show, and it never runs out of ammo. Like
Mm-hmm.
every scene where there is a shootout, he's always pulling out bullets like out of his pockets and stuff. You're just like, where did those bullets come from? But you're just kind of like, whatever. Expand the disbelief.
Right, expand your disbelief.
They're supposed to be fun watches. Like they're supposed to be enjoyable. Like when I was watching Army of Darkness today, I'm just thinking to myself, like, this movie is so ridiculous and I love it. It's the best kind of ridiculous, you know?
Yeah, it's the best kind of ridiculous. Like, just like have fun. Just have fun with this movie. Like just have fun with this movie. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but at the same time, it's a fun movie. Like imagine a movie. Like, can you imagine like the fun is being sucked out of this movie, and this movie would have turned out way different. Like, imagine all the fun being sucked out. Like, you sucked out all the
Yep.
fun, but there's like literally no fun in this movie at all. There's no fun in this movie at all.
Yep.
But I'm glad this movie existed. This movie existed. This movie existed, and it holds up to this day. It holds up
Oh, I
so well.
Oh yeah,
And,
absolutely. So we get a little montage of Ash leading the people, getting ready to battle the army. Then they show up to, excuse me, the castle,
mm-hmm.
and then that's when the battle starts. And then
and
they're
then they all the skeleton army just use their backbones to break down the door. Get it? Because
yeah,
I mean, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yep. Yep.
and
And
then
they all break into the castle. They're about to storm the courtyard until all the skeleton stoppers were like, whoa, 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 hang on, stop for a second. Everybody in the courtyard was doing like the
the
training moves that Ash taught them, and
yeah,
it worked.
yeah, and then out of nowhere, Ash comes driving out in the Delta. He like turned it into like a tank or something. He's just mowing all the skeletons down with it. He just puts on binoculars. Welcome to the 21st century. And he just starts mowing them down. It's so ridiculous. It's
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 so
like it's like
ridiculous. It's
steam
so good.
powered now. It's so good.
It's so good. And it's also sad too because like the Delta got
Yeah,
the Delta crashed.
yeah, the Delta gets destroyed. And that's one thing about the TV show. Again, continuity. Like the TV show literally opens up with Ash driving to a bar in the Delta. It's brand new, spotless, like nothing happened. And I'm like, did he just buy a new one? Like, how's the
He
Delta
probably
back?
did.
It got destroyed, but
Yeah, it got
okay.
destroyed.
I
But
guess he's
yeah.
found another one somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Also, once the Delta was destroyed, Ash just goes into town on the skeletons. He even breaks one of them with his knee, doing like the famous. And this was even before this comic book storyline ever came out. Remember the comic book storyline where Bane breaks Batman's back? You know, the famous
Yeah, he
like,
does the same move. Yep.
yeah. I think this was before the comic book storyline came out. I think. I mean, don't quote me on that. I mean, don't quote
Yeah.
me on that, but that's what came into my mind.
Yeah, dude, I remember what I was going to say earlier. It's like the fact that you realize this movie did Lord of the Rings before it was cool.
Yes,
Like,
yes, yeah. This is Lord of the Rings. This was Lord of the Rings before Lord of the Rings became a thing. Well, obviously the book
yeah,
came out. I mean, obviously the book
yeah,
was already out before Evil Dead existed.
but
Movie
the
wise,
movies,
this is
yeah,
just before the movies even came out. Like,
yeah, a whole
think about this.
decade
Like, think
before.
about this. Like, this literally, we got a precursor of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, literally. And then Ash is fighting all the skeletons, and then him and
He
his
meets
evil
up.
him and
Yeah,
his
he
evil
meets up with his
version
evil
start fighting.
doppelganger in the up in the castle where the book is being guarded, and then
Yeah,
like Ash just literally stabs evil Ash from behind, and he was
yeah,
like, "Oh, you're playing rough, huh? You want to play rough? Let's play rough."
yeah. It's so funny. They
It's
started
so
fighting
funny.
for a while, and then the girl. So when they captured the girl from earlier, they turned her bad.
Mm-hmm.
So halfway through the fight, she shows up and starts attacking him, and then she throws Ash on the ground. She just goes, "You found me beautiful once," and then Ash just like, "Honey, you got real ugly." And then
Well, actually,
literally,
that's true.
yeah. Then he throws her over the ledge. She gets knocked out. And then it goes back to him and evil version Ash fighting one another. And then I love the part where Ash literally sets them on fire, throws them over
Yes,
the
he
edge,
sets them on
and then,
fire.
yeah, and then shortly after,
Hey, good Ash spoiled evil Ash's good looks.
yeah, right before that happens, evil Ash goes, "I want to spoil those good looks." Then it reverse happens to you instead. He gets set on fire. A few seconds later, he comes crawling back at the wall again. He's a complete skeleton now, still wearing the
Yeah.
armor. Then he says one of the most classic lines, "I got bone to pick with you." It's like, oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I got a bone to
Really?
pick with you. Come on. And I think this is Ted
Yes.
Raimi as the skeleton Ash now.
Yeah.
I think this is Ted Raimi as skeleton Ash
Uh-huh.
at that very moment because Ted Raimi plays all the skeletons in this movie. And
Uh-huh.
for a couple of moments we see the stop motion, we see like we see the stop motion of skeleton Ash when Ash and skeleton Ash are fighting, and then it cuts to like an animatronic skeleton Ash. Did you really notice that?
Yeah, I did. So like what happens, skeleton evil Ash throws Ash off the balcony, lands on the ground, and notices that a bomb has been lit and it's on a catapult.
Yeah,
Then the skeleton guy jumps on top of said catapult with the book in his hand,
yeah.
and he's like, "Now
Actually,
I got to remember
I gotta
Amazon. I'm
backtrack
about
for a
to get
second.
vengeance."
Yeah, I gotta backtrack for a second because
Hey, sure, go ahead, go ahead.
even before that, there was another shot that was actually cut. That was actually cut where Ash was hanging for dear life on the ledge of the castle, and then like evil skeleton Ash was like literally banging his literally clashing his sword, and it cuts and the wall catches on fire. I'm just like, how does that make sense? Like, was there actual was there like was there ash residue on that thing? Because I remember seeing that. I mean, that was not in the final cut, but there was a video that I saw that happened. Like it was like an extended scene that happened
Mm-hmm.
before
Mm-hmm.
Ash gets knocked over. But even before that, I like how Ash just literally clocks him in the face. Like he's a literal skeleton. He's a literal skeleton, and yet he feels more pain than human Ash.
Yeah, and then evil Ash has the book. He's on the catapult. He's just like, "Now I got to never have a con. Now I'll have my vengeance." Ash just
And
picks
then
up a sword. He just goes, "Buckle up, bonehead, because you're going for a ride." Cuts the rope, and the catapult slings him into the air with the bomb, and he gets blown up to pieces.
yes, and actually
Uh,
even before that, actually another army actually comes like
yeah,
another army like Henry's army comes back to fight in the battle as well.
yeah.
If,
And then
if
the
you
skeletons get swarmed.
mm-hmm.
Yep,
and then
that was a good
and then
scene
because
too.
their numbers are they're outnumbered and their leader
Yep,
is blown up and the
yep,
skeletons retreat. They're like, retreat, let's get the hell out of here.
yep. So good. Um, and then
Oh man, and
yeah, and then
that's
they leave, and then the girl wakes up. She's fine. Everybody's hugging and cheering. The battle has
mhm.
been won. And then it cuts to the wise one showing Ash, okay, drink this and say the words. You'll wake up in your own time.
Okay, and now this also goes back to what you said to me early in the episode about the two different endings. This
Yeah,
goes back to where it goes because okay, um, the first ending showed Ash drinking this potion, and there was supposed to be like a number of times where he's supposed to drink it, but he miscalculated 3 times, right?
3 times. 3 times.
3 times. So it was 3 times. He's supposed to drink it 3 times, but he actually drank it a fourth time because he forgot.
Yep.
And then he wakes up in what looks to be a messed up multiverse, probably
Yeah.
predating Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And Ash was like, "Oh no, no, I slept too long.
Yeah,
Oh
it's like he has yeah, his hair is like extremely long and he has like a long beard. He like
no."
walks out of the cave and then it's like the world has ended, like the city is like completely like deserted or something. He slept for who knows how long.
Yeah,
Dude, I
and
gotta tell you, like, I am so happy they didn't go with that ending. Like, that would have destroyed me.
yeah,
Like, I
actually,
don't
I
like
could have
that.
said it. I could have said it better than I could have said it better than myself because if you really think about it, like we wouldn't have gotten the other movies too, nor the TV show because
Yeah,
that ending it would end it all. It would literally end it all for this franchise. And I can also picture another example as well. Have you seen Rambo? The movie Rambo with Sylvester Stallone.
yeah,
The
yeah.
first
I
movie
know. Like,
actually had a different ending as well,
yeah. Well,
and
actually, I remember correctly in the original Rambo, the original ending was that the sergeant guy that that Rambo talks to at the end. The original ending was that he shoots him in the police station.
yeah, but like Rambo kills himself. Although now that you mentioned it, I he literally pulls, he forces the sergeant's hand to pull the trigger on
Oh,
uh on Rambo. Is that right?
I think the sergeant shoots him. If I remember correctly, I saw it once, like a long time ago.
Yeah, but I do know
But that's
like
the
that
perfect
original ending had
example.
Rambo killed. That original ending,
Yeah,
Rambo died.
yeah, exactly. And then I don't think they liked the ending, so they reshot the ending, and then it has Ash, drink the potion, and he actually does it right, and he's back in his timeline working at the S Mart store, and he's telling his story of what he went through. He's explained the story to one of his coworkers, which is an employee played by Ted Raimi.
Yeah, and then he was like, "So, what really? So is that what really happened?" And then Ash was like, "Yeah, that's how it all happened. Were you able to get it right?" Well, yeah, maybe I might have messed up a few times, but what's the big deal?
Yeah, exactly. He says the same thing again. And then he's like in the store, like putting prices on items. And this cute girl walks up to him. She's like, "You know that story about how you could have been king? I think it's kind of cute." And Ash is just like, "Yeah." And then like, but this girl he talks to at the end was a brand new girl.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, it does go.
after they said,
Now that you mentioned it, remember when he sees Sheila? Remember Sheila, the girl that Bruce Campbell Ash knew for only a few hours? This
yeah, it's
scene,
like
he sees this girl.
this is even worse. So after they finish talking, evil spirit, like the evil comes back again and possesses one of the customers, and Ash has to fight the possessed person. We get, dude, this scene is so good. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she throws Ash into the armory section, and then the possessed employees, or the possessed lady's getting ready to kill the lady that Ash was chatting with. Like, Ash pulls out a rifle out of the armory section, which is loaded for some reason. Then
But hey, you
he
just gotta go with it. Go with the flow.
just go with it. He's just like, "Lady, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to ask you to leave the store."
I like how the demon was like, "Who the hell are you, Ash?"
Housewares. Then
And then
I
he keeps shooting her until he keeps shooting at her until she falls.
Yeah, dude, my favorite part, like, he jumps on a car and then randomly throws the rifle in the air and catches it for some reason. And then this scene for me is a prime example. It's like when you're playing a video game and you unlock the unlimited ammo cheat. Like,
Yes.
He's just sitting there, bang, bang. Like that rifle carries like 6 shots or something, and he
Yes.
like 20 of them in a row.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes. That's like you just unlocked a cheat. You just unlocked a cheat code.
Code unlimited ammo.
Yes. Oh. If this was ever a thing in Mortal Kombat, Ash Williams as a possible DLC character.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then
That's gotta happen. It needs
yeah,
to happen. Please make it happen. Make Ash a DLC character for Mortal Kombat.
yeah, definitely. I'm down for that. But
Yeah.
after he shoots her a few times, we get the famous line, "I'll swallow your soul. Come get some."
And
Uh,
then
telling you, this movie, some of the best one-liners I've ever heard.
yes, I think this movie has the best one-liners. Like if you really think about it, like you hear some of these one-liners. Like obviously the line "I'll swallow your soul" that's been mentioned before in the second movie, and then you get and then but that's brought up in this movie. Then you got broomstick, which in my opinion, is the best one-liner in this movie, in my opinion. This is my boomstick.
Yeah, so iconic, dude. Yeah, it's so good. And then he fights the lady some more, finally kills her, and then we hear Ash monologue. Sure,
Mm-hmm.
I could have stayed in the past, may even could have been king, but in my own way, I am king. He just grabs the girl, he just goes, "Hail the king, baby," and then he start
Yep.
kissing. Then the credits
And
start.
credits start rolling. That's how. Now that's how you end a. Now that's how you end a film like that. A
I
B
end
movie film.
so good, dude.
Oh, that is. Oh man, that is good. Now, that's the end of the movie. That's literally the end of the movie. And for what it's worth, it's still good. It's good. But I heard when this first came out, excuse me, when it first came out, a lot of people said the film was deviated from the first two movies because of the tone. Like, did you like catch on to that too? But didn't really
Well,
matter.
every time I've watched it, I always got the sense like, okay, we're kind of taking a direction away from the horror, which I'm okay with. I mean, like each movie tried something different. It's like the first one was just, straight horror. It's like, okay, number two, let's keep the horror element in there, but
Hmm.
let's add some more comedy into it a little bit. And then three has, then three was just kind of like, an action silly adventure kind of thing, which I think it worked. I mean, I thought it fit the theme of
I
the
thought
other.
it worked very well. It worked very well, and I think a lot of people who gave the reviews, who put out the reviews for this, saying that, oh, this is like, this film is way different. I feel like they're I say in my opinion, some of the critics are wrong on this one, saying that, oh, this movie is so different from this one. It's not that good. I mean, I seen this movie. I had fun with this movie. This movie was a lot of fun. Yes, it's different in tone, but at the same time, it works. If you really think about it, going off of what you said, each film took a different aspect. Like first one is just more of a horror film. Second one, it's still a horror film, but it was more comedic. Now this third one is basically this is still horror and comedy, but it's a silly adventure movie. And it's the
Yeah.
problem is with some of these people with some people giving reviews on this third movie. I think it's just they don't really turn their disbelief off, in my opinion. Don't you think?
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, I think you could use that for like people who go to theaters today to watch movies. I think the problem that we're facing right now is that people today are putting out their expectation levels
Mm-hmm.
way too high, so they don't enjoy
Yeah.
the movie for what it is. It's like this movie did not reach the expectations. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Like, even give it a chance. Like, if Army of Darkness had came out today, it would have bombed in my opinion. I don't think people would have liked it if it came out today.
Yeah, I don't think people would have liked it when it came out if it came out today. I'm actually glad it came out in the 90s. I'm glad it came out in the 90s because the 90s, let's just say the 90s got pretty popular with some of their movies. But
Oh yeah,
but
agree.
other than that, I say as a B movie, this is a B movie. This is a supernatural typical B movie action film. There's a lot of there's a lot of cheese in that movie, and for the most part, it works. It works so well. People remember it for
Yeah,
what it is.
like it's not like a bad cheesiness. Like this one, like it's cheesy in the best way imaginable. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cheesy in the best way imaginable, but at the same time, it works. Like Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell really put their hearts into these movies, and
Oh,
those
yeah,
movies became popular for a reason. And look where they are right now. Like without those movies, Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, they would have they wouldn't exist if
no,
those movies were never made.
it wouldn't have had the careers that they've had if it weren't for if it weren't for these movies. Like this movie, one of the things I know, like this movie, in my opinion, showed that Bruce Campbell can be a lead actor in a movie. Like
Yeah,
if there's any doubt that Bruce couldn't be a lead man, just have anyone watch this movie. Like he stole the show the entire runtime. Like he's an amazing lead actor.
he is. I think he's underrated. He's up there with Kurt Russell as two of the most underrated actors, in my opinion.
I would definitely agree with that. And speaking of Bruce, another thing I wanted to share with you is that the scars that you see on his face throughout the movie, those are real scar injuries that he got from making the movie.
Oh, really?
Doing like fight scenes and stuff. He got hurt like several times.
Because he did his own stunts in this movie, right?
I think so. I'm pretty sure a good majority of them. But all the scars and cuts that you see on his face, those are real. They're not makeup.
No,
Uh,
but it adds, but it fits so well. It's like you think actual makeup, but no, it's real. Those are actual scars, and
yeah,
there's probably a couple of other actors who had similar events like this too. Harrison Ford, for example, like you remember the scar on his
yeah,
cheek in Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford's got that scar.
yep,
Like that was actually from an accident that he had. I forgot what type of accident it was, but in the third Indiana Jones movie, like when River Phoenix played young Indiana Jones, where he hit himself in the face with the whip, you get the
yep,
scar. That's like a good little nice little hidden detail and
yeah,
continuity too, because what we know with Harrison Ford, how he got his scar was from that crash or that accident that he had.
yeah. And another thing I thought was pretty cool was that Bruce Campbell got married not long before the shoot for Army of Darkness started. He married his wife, Ida Giron, I think so you say her name. They got married in 1992. I think 92 or 91. I believe, but they got married not long before the movie started,
Yeah, yeah.
and
I
Ida
think that was
worked in the
that was Bruce Campbell's second wife, I believe.
yeah, his second wife, yeah. But yeah, they got married not long before the Evil Dead Army of Darkness shoot started, and they worked together on Army of Darkness. She worked in the costume department, which I thought was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's pretty cool too. Like the costume, like I'll admit, like come on, the costume's top tier in this movie.
oh, they are 100 like 100%. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Oh yes, and I also found out about Sam Raimi. Like Sam Raimi was also one of the editors for this movie as well. But the thing was, here's the thing: he credited himself as Rock Sandstorm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he
That's
credited
fun.
himself as Rock Sandstorm.
Yeah. But I honestly have no idea what Sam Raimi's gonna do next, movie wise. I heard there's talks that he's gonna direct a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire, which I would want to see. Like,
Yes.
I want that. I'll go take my
Yes,
money.
I that would be good. That would be awesome. Because think about it, like we almost got it. We almost got Spider-Man 4, but unfortunately, the executives over at Sony Pictures really put so much pressure on Sam Raimi. He left the movie, and not
Yeah,
only him, but also Tobey Maguire as well.
yeah. Well, I mean, Sony forced Sam Raimi to put Venom in Spider-Man 3. He never wanted to do anything with Venom. Spider-Man 3 originally was supposed to be
Like,
Sam going to be the
yeah,
main villain, and he was going to wrap up Harry's story in that one as well. But then the
yeah,
Sony forced to put Venom in it because they wanted to sell more toys. So he had to
mm-hmm.
rewrite the story with
like,
Venom in it. And then, in my opinion, he still made it work. I
yeah,
guess due to all the hate that he got for number 3 at the time, he backed out from making number 4, which
mm-hmm.
first sounded really promising because I heard that they Bruce Campbell was going to play Mysterio.
Yes, that's the rumor. That was the rumor because
And it was
all
going to
the cameos that Bruce Campbell appeared in,
I was
like he was
going
the
to
announcer guy in the first one where Spider-Man was going up against Randy
Bonesaw.
Savage, the WWE wrestler. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bonesaw. And then the second time around, he played this Usher who drops this illusion line, which would connect to Mysterio. And then the third time, he plays
Yeah.
this waiter, and those were his cameos. But I think it was the second film where the idea of Bruce Campbell being Mysterio was was hinted.
Yeah, and then they were also the movie was going to introduce John Malkovich as
Vulture.
Vulture, which I thought would have been. And then Anne Hathaway, funny enough, was cast to play Black Cat,
Yeah, and
which is
don't
ironic.
worry. She played another good cat lady too,
Yeah,
Catwoman.
in Batman: The Dark Knight Rises, which I thought was pretty funny. Uh,
Yeah, and then there was but the final nail in the coffin was the lizard.
yeah, because they were setting up Dr. Connors like all throughout the previous films. Like he made appearances in all 3 movies. I'm pretty sure, not the first one. I don't
Yeah,
think.
actually, it was the second and third movie. He wasn't in the first. I didn't see him in the first movie.
No, like he was in the second and third. Like they were setting him up, but we never got to see that. I feel like if they
No, we never
done
got
like
to
a
see that.
Ivy might have been a threat. I don't know, but
No, but like he was just a pretty good professor. Like for the last three Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, like he looked and sounded like a genuine professor.
yeah,
Nothing evil.
yeah, exactly. Um,
But yeah, but that was like the final nail in the coffin for Spider-Man 4. If this ever happened and if it goes through very well, we could possibly get that. Like, but the thing is, if that's gonna happen, will it take place after the events of No Way Home?
I think it should. I think No Way Home should be kept canon no matter what because I
Mm-hmm.
think that movie, like, it literally reintroduced Toby's Spider-Man and Andrews, and
Yes,
I
it did.
think they should make an Amazing Spider-Man 3 at some point. But to get back on topic, I still regard the Evil Dead trilogy as one of the greatest trilogies ever made. As
Yes, it's
far
up
as
there with
like,
the Back to the Future trilogy and the original Star Wars trilogy as well.
oh yeah, I couldn't agree more on that. And for anybody watching this who have not seen the Evil Dead movies, I highly recommend you watch all 3 of them. Like Mark, I highly recommend you go back and rewatch the first 2
Yes,
because
I will. I will go watch the first two movies. I will go watch the
Yeah.
first two movies if I can find them. If I can find them, I mean, I don't have them on DVD, but I could probably find them somewhere. I could probably find them somewhere if it's on a streaming
Oh,
service. Because Army of Darkness, I found it on Amazon. Army of Darkness, which I am so thankful I was able to watch that on Amazon because I want because right even before I wanted to do this, right before I wanted to collab with you, I want to talk about a movie with you. I was like, okay, I want to talk about a movie. I want to talk about this movie that he will definitely like. And Army of Darkness came to my mind. I was like, well, he has seen this movie. Plus, you mentioned your Ash Williams cosplay that you dressed up, like
yep.
like in your previous episode, in one of your episodes, you mentioned you dressed up as Ash Williams, and I'm just like, okay, I'll talk about Evil Dead, but it's gonna be the third one. I want to talk about the third one.
Right. And I'm very happy that we got to talk about this movie. I think it was the perfect choice of a movie to talk about. And glad I was given this awesome chance to really express how much I love this movie. So thanks for that, Mark.
Yeah, and I thought it would be a nice welcome return too. And with Evil Dead, the Evil Dead movies, going back to that, I mean, it's amazing. It's literally amazing, and this is literally one of your favorite movies. Is that right?
Well, I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but it's definitely one of my favorite trilogies. Like, we're talking about the trilogy as a whole. It's one of my favorite trilogies, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I love these movies to death, and they're a must-watch for me as around
Mm-hmm.
the fall season. They're the perfect kind of scary movies to watch
Yeah.
for
I like
sure.
how actually um I like how with with the success of these movies and of course the TV show, I like how elements of Evil Dead were put into I would say I would most notably Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because like when you watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, there are a few callbacks to his movies, to Sam Raimi's movies, most notably from Evil Dead, like like where Bruce Campbell, who's piece of Papa, beats himself up, like in the second movie, the dead the corpse. Remember that? Remember uh, Zombie Strange comes back from the dead. I believe that's another reference to Evil Dead. Oh yes, yes, Army of Darkness, when Ash's evil doppelganger came back to life, and then there's probably a couple of others too, but that's the only. Wait. Could it? Hmm. I want to say the Scarlet Witch as well when when she was possessing her own variant,
Mm-hmm.
because the success of Evil Dead, like you get these callbacks. You can get these. This is one of those films where you get callbacks to Evil Dead movie, because Sam Raimi got his start with those movies, and look where he is
Mm-hmm.
right now. He would not have the career that he had without the Evil Dead movies.
Everybody has their starting point, and he always remembered his roots and where he came from.
Yeah,
100.
he remembered his roots very well. I mean, say what you will about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and the direction they were going with for Marvel, but when you have Sam Raimi on board as your director, you know where you know what you're getting.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Like with Raimi, I'm pretty sure everything that Raimi has been involved with have all been cool in their own way. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think he's ever really done anything bad. Anything he's involved in, they're all cool, and is like the guy has a huge passion for filmmaking, and you can really feel that when you watch the stuff that he's either directed or been involved with. They're
Oh
all in
yes, yes,
their own way.
yeah. He has his way, and Sam and looking back at the Evil Dead, looking back at the Evil Dead movies, including Army of Darkness, he really did well. He did a fantastic job with his movies.
Yeah, 100%. And the Evil Dead
Yeah.
trilogy are examples of what a great filmmaker he is. So,
Mm-hmm. So that will definitely be a. I would say this would definitely be a wrap for this episode. Wow, that
well, I
was a
was,
lot to talk about.
yeah, absolutely. Well, before you close this out, Mark, I just want to say personally, thank you for invite me back on the show again, man. I've missed this, and it's always a pleasure to get to chat about films with you. You're doing a
Oh
great
yes, yes,
you're doing a great job with your show. I'm proud of you for keeping it going. You're doing great.
yeah. And hey, you did a very good job with your shows too. You did a very good job with your shows too. And I would love to see more. And if you ever get the chance to bring it back, I say you should because it would be a fantastic opportunity to keep this going.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of trying to get it up and running again.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
def-
you should.
I'm definitely gonna
Yeah, you
head up and
should. I mean, if yeah, if you got the time, if you get the time to do it, I say you should because I know there's definitely a lot of people because I could definitely smell future crossovers come. I could definitely smell future crossovers coming in between.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It
Yep.
was an honor getting to chat about this movie.
Yeah, you're welcome. And also to ask this question to everybody who's listening, what do you guys think of Army of Darkness? Did you like the film? Have you seen the movie? Did you think the movie was okay? I would like to hear your thoughts about this because I
Yeah,
like this movie. Christian, you like this movie?
love this movie. I think it's just good as the other three. They're
Yep,
amazing movies.
I definitely agree on that. But anyway, that will be a wrap on this episode. So anyway, thank you all for tuning into Codo Cinema. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codoman.
And I am Christian Taylor, aka DJ Apollo.
Remember to watch movies and stay positive, and good night until next week.